What's up guys, my name is the Below Average Gamer and today we're diving into one of the most gripping, unforgettable campaigns in Call of Duty history, Black Ops 1. Set during the Cold War, an era defined by paranoia, propaganda, and the ever-present threat of global annihilation. Two superpowers with thousands of nukes, and a world convinced that the enemy could be anyone, anywhere. It was fear weaponized, truth was twisted, and reality was optional. Basically, it was Twitter. So what did Treyarch do? They dropped us right in the middle of all of that, and it was a series first visit to that era, into a story laced with covert ops, mind games, and a narrative, as cliche as it sounds, that keeps you guessing until the end. This is a campaign that expanded what COD could be, and at the center of all that is Alex Mason. If there was a Guinness World Record for most uninformed and brainwashed protagonist, he would hold it. The campaign follows his journey across the globe, across time, and deep into the shadows of the Cold War. But what exactly made Black Ops 1 so good? And why does so many still call it the best in the series? Well, you know the drill. Grab a drink, get comfy, and come with me as we relive the psychological and cinematic powerhouse that is Blops. I will forever find that acronym hilarious. It's literally the sound poop makes when it falls in the toilet. Blops! Quick heads up before we start, I'll be playing through the campaign and analysing it as I go as usual, but I'm doing it as if I've never played Black Ops before. So, no spoilers, no big twist reveals, not yet. Yes, I know the game's 15 years old, but I'm going to keep it clean for the 3 people out there that still somehow don't know what the numbers mean.
She said she was 12!
And I'm doing that because I genuinely believe this is the best way to experience and analyze Black Ops, because it forces you to focus on the information the game gives you in real time, without the benefit of hindsight. Then towards the end, we'll go back and look at those moments again with the full picture in mind. Also, there's a whole video's worth of emails and side content that I plan to cover in a future video across the whole IP. So for the purposes of this analysis, I won't be going into too much detail on this content, as I don't think every player will be catching this on their first playthrough. Let's go!
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Where are they broadcast?
I don't know anything about any numbers.
What about Dragovich? Do you remember him?
I have plans for you, American.
We know you went in with Woods and Bolt.
Yeah, I was part of the SAG unit led by Frank Woods.
To my countrymen, it was a symbol of hope. To the Germans, it was a symbol of defiance.
We must make up for lost time.
Where did Dragovich take you?
Fukuda.
Only you can tell us what the codes mean.
Where is the broadcast station?
We've been compromised. What about the numbers, Clark?
Only you survived, Mason.
Damn it! Why can't you remember?
You load into an interactive menu. You're strapped to a chair, with multiple TVs showing footage of world leaders and conflicts, setting the stage for the era that the game is set in. Around you is retro computer equipment, and we hear heart rate monitor sounds somewhere near us. Above, there are 2 men probing us with questions and comments. Immediately, the tone of this game is something else not seen in other Call of Duty games. One of the men, using a voice changer to conceal their identity, says, "You killed him, Mason. No one else. You." Which, in retrospect, makes sense, but for the first time players hearing this already goes miles in creating intrigue and mystery, giving you clues as to why you are detained, and who you might be in this game. I can't stress enough how perfectly crafted this opening really is to grip the player. You start the game by selecting your difficulty as always. I will not be participating in veteran this time. As you start the game, the dudes above are telling you to wake up, and your character, now voiced, which is a major change in the series, is asking where he is and where is Reznov. If you played the previous entry from Treyarch, you'll know this name very well, and if you haven't, go and watch my previous video on World at War to find out. Go, watch it now, then come back, and watch this one as well. Watch them all 3 times, and like and comment. So, Reznov, yeah, recurring character. Let's move on. During this torture, we get doxed live on stream, and our address is revealed. The highest form of torture.
Where were you born?
Kiss my ass!
After the next shock, the TVs start showing numbers, as we hear some glitched Morse code sound effect. We're asked where the broadcast station is. Mason, like a new player, has no idea what the hell they're talking about. Then we're asked about a man called Dragovich. Of course, we don't know him either. The interrogators give off a real sense of urgency with their tone, and all of this foreshadowing goes to contribute to the mindfuck that is the opening of this game. The numbers continue as the interrogators question us on the Bay of Pigs, saying they knew we were there. Mason denies this, but then the interrogator says,
Do not with me, Mason. I know when you're lying.
Did you catch that? The interrogator said, "I know when you're lying," and that implies that he knows us. The clues to the nature of the story have been expertly drip-fed throughout this intro, and I think it's a testament to how good the writing is. Black Ops 1 also massively elevates the briefing scenes before missions. The way it blends the interrogation with real-world pictures and realistic graphics depicting redacted documents contributes strongly to the game's strong identity and incredible style. For example, in this opening briefing we see pictures and documents referencing the Bay of Pigs, a real-world invasion of Cuba ordered by President Eisenhower at the height of the Cold War to overthrow Fidel Castro and replace him with a more pro-American government, one that wasn't butt-buddies with the Soviets. In real-world history, this plot obviously failed, but what I love about this game is that it springboards off of real-world history and twists the people, locations, and events in with the fictional elements of its own story. The secret agents, the CIA, the stuff that we wouldn't know about in the real world. Even if it had actually happened and was true, we wouldn't know about it. So what the game's about to show is actually totally plausible. So yeah, I just think it plays really well on that idea, in a way that I've only really seen done well by the Metal Gear Solid series, at least up until MGS4. Damn, okay, we're like 2 pages into the script and I haven't even played the game. The game opens with a flame and smoke, and when the smoke clears, we're with the characters Woods and Bowman in a bar in Cuba. This bar looks like a whole-ass Cold War vibe. Woods has Latin-coded cigarettes stuffed into his shirt, a leather strap watch, and the word revolution seems to be carved into the bar countertop under the ashtray in which a cigar burns. There's a rum diarrhea dude drinking with his buddies in the back, and we have some live Cuban music playing which some short-haired shorty is getting down to behind Woods. The attention to detail in the environment here in the first 10 seconds is very good, the best we've seen so far in the series. We can see that the mission takes place in 1961. This intel appearing in the bottom left corner is nothing new for the series, but then they add a cool twist to it by redacting it, leaving only the information that is assumably public knowledge, concealing the truth about our mission. It announces what this game is about in so many subtle ways already. The dude behind the bar is called Carlos, presumably part of the CIA-funded operation to overthrow Castro. Carlos says that Castro will be in Carlos's old plantation. The line is delivered in a way that harbors resentment for Castro's regime. It says without saying directly that this plantation was taken from him by Castro. He informs us that the attack on the airfield will distract the militia enough to allow us to get inside and carry out the hit on Castro himself. Just as we're finished, the local militia turn up and start being kinda mean to everyone, especially us. They ask us where we are from and we say, in Black Ops 1, you hold pistols with one hand. That's it, that's my point. It's a new feature. After this, we're thrown a rifle and have to fight through the streets of Santa Maria against the local police force, who honestly seem like they've been indulging in the South American nose beers a bit too much. These guys come in with some serious heat. Wait a second, are all of these police officers, are they bad guys? It's a crazy way to open the game in my opinion, just noob tubing debatably innocent police officers. Like, are all of them corrupt? Maybe some of them are the innocent police officers just responding to the call. Anyway, putting that to the back of our mind, we hop in a car and get the flip out of Dodge and are treated to this insane scene. With that, we're pulled back into the interrogation seat. The interrogator says that we're slipping away. Yeah, certainly looks like it. We get shocked, to our shock. And suddenly we're looking over the aforementioned airfield, back again in Mason's memory. We hook up to the zip line, the rock music kicks in and we start to kick ass. We fight our way through the compound with Woods and Bowman. And at this point I started to notice that the voice acting for Mason was really inconsistent. Sometimes he's sounding almost South African,
Roger.
Sometimes American,
What am I supposed to do?
and sometimes Australian. And the depth of his voice also changes a lot too. I've looked into this, assuming there was some issues in the recording of the VO or he was recast at some point in development, but Mason is actually played by actor Sam Worthington, who's famous for his role in Avatar. And honestly, there's no excuses for this, it's just pretty bad voice recording. But that really is a nitpick and doesn't take much away from the game at all. Black Ops really improved the effectiveness of hipfire in this game, giving you access to a ton of hip-fireable weapons. I really enjoyed this and it feels like it suits the new tone of this game. We weren't tied to realistic, precise, military action anymore. This was more Hollywood, more cinema. Every time I fired a full clip from the hip, I felt like Scarface.
Say hello to my little friend!
Quite quickly, all things considered, we've arrived outside of Castro's room. As we breach in with Woods, he asks us if we're ready to make history. As we enter the room, we realise that all we're about to do is cockblock this guy. Bro immediately uses this shorty as a human shield, which is so funny. Bro didn't even hesitate, but like him, neither did I, and I put one between his eyes. As we do, we get this sick bullet time action shot of the fatal shot on Castro. But then after that, Babes doesn't hesitate either, and picks up a shotgun to try and open up a hole in my stomach.
Bitch.
Rock and roll, baby. I noticed that even though Castro is dead here, the crosshair indicator is still red, and it isn't when you hover over the woman on the floor. Is this foreshadowing perhaps, or coincidence? Let's find out. With the job done, we fight our way to the extraction point on the airfield. We literally run right through the middle of the airfield, and it's quite a busy fight, and somehow we don't catch a stray bullet. We hop onto the plane and start Ramboing everyone in sight. Just as it looks like we've escaped, they block the runway ahead, forcing Mason off the plane and onto an anti-aircraft gun so he can clear the runway for Woods and Bowman. Mason obviously is sacrificing himself so the others could escape. We're then grabbed by a dude that looks like a dwarf version of Imran Zakayev and are promptly knocked the fuck out. When we awake, we're greeted by this.
You're dead. We killed you.
No. You killed a double. You think we didn't know of your plan?
We always know.
Do with him what you wish, General. He's my gift to you, in honor of our new relationship. Just make sure that he suffers.
He will know suffering beyond his darkest fears. I have plans for you, American.
Do you want a kiss? 10 out of 10 out of 10. What an opener. Wowza. Next, Mason recounts to the interrogators that the dudes we just saw, these being the real Castro, Dragovich, and Kravchenko, shipped him off to the flipping gulag, a Russian labor camp called Vorkuta. It's implied in the briefing and cutscene that some spooky shit went down, but it's not specifically described. Mason then says that he met Viktor Reznov here, and with that we fly into the memory of Vorkuta. Now we're in 1963, and specifically in the middle of a fight. Yes, with Viktor Reznov from COD World at War. He's a little older now, but still retains that same intense and strong character we saw in World at War, and impeccable voice acting. The fight was actually a ruse to trick one of the guards and gain the keys to the mine that we seem to be trapped in. The prisoners cheer and recite the steps to the plan to break out of this biatch as we shiv and shank our way up and out. As the siren blares, we meet big-ass Sergey, who is comically large. The first thing we see him do is this. Jesus Christ, man. Well done. Makarov. PTSD, Makarov. What I find really interesting is how similar this prison break is to Reznov leading the 3rd Shock Army in World at War. And it actually goes quite hard. They even have some dialogue, Mason and Reznov, where Mason is all like, does everybody not know that they're probably going to die breaking out of here? And Reznov, as he would say in World at War, responds saying that victory cannot be achieved without sacrifice. As we go, we partake in many prison break shenanigans, such as overthrowing fortified positions against the odds, running around like crazy zombies, breaking into the guards' armories, slingshotting ballistic missiles, and listening to Reznov, who found a megaphone or something, spewing his usual inspiring words loudly across the prison. I pick up an AK-47 and almost come due to how good it feels to be reunited with a gun that looks, sounds, and fires this good. Black Ops 1's weapons were insanely peak. We harpoon a chopper. Yes, harpoon a chopper and continue on. I find my way to a death machine and delete 1 million blokes before we're hit with some tear gas. Reznov saves us from this as we briefly come out to a cutscene to confirm to the interrogator that Reznov never left our side. We hop on a motorbike with Reznov and start hamming it out of the joint in what is a really fun sequence using the lever action shotgun. After acquiring a truck, Reznov gets us close enough to the train so that I can leap to safety, but unfortunately, he can't do the same.
Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me! Reznov!
Did you hear that? The numbers at the end there? Mason confirms this was the last time he saw Reznov for a while. A direct contradiction to his earlier statement that he never left. Or is it? Next thing we know, Mason is being assigned to a new handler, Jason Hudson. The interrogator is asking how anyone could trust him after he allied so closely with Reznov, the communist, to break out of Vorkuta, which is a question that actually makes total sense now I think about it, and a question that totally typifies the spy fear of the Cold War. How could anyone be sure that he didn't defect to the Soviets? And his escape was staged to send him back to the USA as an undercover agent. Anyway, after some CIA tests, we're cleared for duty. And the next mission, if you can call it that, sees us arriving at the Pentagon with Jason Hudson. We hop in this long whip with some suits, and a dude called McNamara. I don't know if they did this on purpose to freak us out, but he really looks like that evil guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Anyway, McDonald's gives us a pep talk as we can faintly hear the numbers still in the background. He wants us to kill Dragovich, which conveniently aligns with our personal vendetta against him anyway, and maybe some other currently hidden motivations. We walk into the Pentagon with McFart and Hudson, and this cutscene actually does something really cool, and departs from the first-person view for the first time in the series, I think.
I felt like everyone was watching us. And watching me. Back then you couldn't trust anyone.
We not only have a voiced protagonist in the game, we've got an internal monologue here from Mason. And I know this stuff is minor, but it's actually such a huge departure from the standard format and rules of a COD narrative. It also creates this weird paranoia. Mason feels like he's being watched, and he doesn't know how or who by. Shout out to this little Easter egg, by the way, next to the clerk's desk. Look really close to your left, and you can see a reference to Call of Duty World at War. I read Pellaloo and actually started hearing the bonsai scream. All of this time, Mason is having a bit of a breakdown. He says he feels like the numbers are gnawing at him. We're also getting minor but sharp hallucinations, and along with this, they're often speeding up and slowing down the pace of the cutscene to make it feel even more disorientating. Why is Mason having trouble remembering this? We can hear the interrogator saying that we're getting close to our objective, that it was working. What does this mean? When we enter the old Situation Room, over in the corner we see JFK, and just look at this.
Mr. President?
Agent Mason.
Great honor, Mr. President.
Sit. We are in.
Can you see that? The TVs in the background changed. A stronger hallucination. But you know what makes these really creepy? The images in the background are real-world images from during and after JFK was assassinated. We see the videos of him talking to the crowds and getting into that famous convertible Lincoln Continental, his last moments. We see images of his mourning wife, Jackie Kennedy, with a veil over her face that she wore to the funeral, as well as images of his coffin draped with an American flag. We even see mugshots of the supposed killer, Lee Harvey Oswald. These chilling details blew me away, and you may not have even noticed them when you played the game. It's blink and you miss it kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that's done in horror films, you know? Something scary lurking in the background moves, so you have to rewind to see if what you thought you saw was actually there. And again, I don't want to over-explain it, but JFK is sat right in front of us. How are we seeing images of his funeral and wife crying about his death behind him? It's super creepy, and I absolutely love it. Anyway, the numbers are getting louder, and it feels like something is about to happen. My god, isn't that just the creepiest hallucination and sound effect in the series? We are a long, long way from games that have come before, but what does it all mean? Honestly, I don't want to spoil it just yet, in case you haven't played this 14-year-old game. But to a new player, you're just mind-fucked to the hills right now. We have a mystery interrogator, numbers playing over in our head, vivid hallucinations and distortions of reality. And now we get to meet the president with images of his death that hasn't happened yet behind him, and hallucinations of us pulling a gun on him. The only thing that the game hasn't hidden at this stage is the fact that Mason is very clearly going through something. But what that something is, we don't have any definitive answers by any means. So, after all that, Kennedy gives us the order to kill Dragovich, and the mission is over. 1 billion out of 10, wowee. What a mission. What a game. Unreal. Next, Operation Flashpoint. Mason is on a mission to dent the Soviet space hopes and eradicate their long-range missile program. Him, Woods and Bowman are sent in to do this, as well as save the double agent that the US planted inside the Ascension Group. The Ascension Group are a Soviet/N-word combo formed after World War II. So they need to gather any intel on what they're doing and bring it back to the US. But most of all, carry out that kill order on Dragovich, who was confirmed to be on site here. The visuals in the opening of this level are really cool. We look through our scratched binoculars to see a Soviet missile readying for launch in front of a setting sun. We also see our double agent Weaver tied to a chair. Dwarf Zakayev is also there, and he gives us an ultimatum: to surrender or Weaver dies. I don't really give a damn at this point, I don't really even know who Weaver is. So yeah, crack on, dude.
Your choice. This is not good.
Oh, Jesus, God, I thought he was just gonna shoot him. That's brutal. Anyway, we move sneaky deaky on the double to his position. We silently take out 2 guards and put on their cosplay. We link up with Brooks and Bowman and we have a full squad to drop in. We walk coolly into the facility and go loud as we storm the comms building. We pick up the crossbow with the explosive bolts and start raining hell from above. Then we zip over to where Weaver is being held to save the day. But not his eyeball. That's fucked. Okay, epic. Next objective. But what is the next objective? The objective marker says to abort the launch. The interrogator says we had to kill the scientists. And Mason says that he's there to kill Dragovich. These are objectives within objectives within objectives, and this is kind of exactly what you'd expect from a Cold War story. Layers of different motivations and goals, all working at the same time. We breach the wall next to the control room. It looks like the blast killed these scientists, but I double checked just to be safe. It's too late to use the computer to stop the launch. Luckily, someone left a futuristic guided missile right here. How convenient. Shit's hitting the fan right about now, so we go underground. And what follows is a long and brutal segment fighting in tight corridors against a lot of enemies without much room for variety of gameplay or error. They might as well have called this bunker Bonnie Blue with the amount of dudes that were down here. This section is really hard, but what doesn't help either is getting brained by your own team. Why on earth is friendly fire enabled for my own team in campaign? Wait, sorry? Woods? Did you just fucking shoot me in the back of the head? Our vision starts going all numbery as the mission ends. Well, kinda. We get this awkward cutscene of stills voiced over by Mason and the interrogator. In the cutscene, Mason is asked if he confirmed the kill on Dragovich, to which Woods actually answers.
Trust me. That rat bast's a fucking charcoal briquette.
Without knowing the full context of the story, your impression of that cutscene is like, why couldn't we play that or see that? Did the studio making the game get their budget slashed? But it does make sense later in the game. We're back in the chair. The interrogator is telling Mason that he didn't kill Dragovich, and that he spent the next 5 years hunting him. Mason agreeing that he couldn't get him out of his head. Mason also asks what they want from him, to which they answer, the numbers. Mason's next memory trip takes us to
Vietnam. Fucking Quezon.
In this mission, we join the SOG team with our official mission to be investigating Soviet involvement in Vietnam. And they could not have picked a better musical score for this opening. God, I wish I could play Fortunate Son to You by Creedence Clearwater Revival, but mummy YouTube will spank me the hell up if I do. This shit honestly slaps so hard, and when I was playing the song on YouTube while writing this script, I noticed someone had commented on the video saying, I can't believe they made a whole war for this song, and that really does tell you everything you need to know. Woods arrives like a flipping Looney Tune on a chopper. He looks like he's really enjoying this war. What he doesn't enjoy though is anything to do with Hudson.
Jason Hudson, CIA. Thank you for your time, Sergeant. Bruh.
Woods gives us a lore drop on what SOG do, and I'll save you the time. It's essentially for carrying out Black Ops. Would you believe it? But this conversation doesn't last long, as we're blown to smithereens. We save Hudson and then have to defend the base, which is being attacked by the NVA. The Vietnam War IRL was essentially North versus South. The North was the NVA backed by the Soviets, and the South was backed by the US. It was a proxy war for these two superpowers to go at it indirectly. Anyway, we fight off the endless waves of NVA that are overflowing into the trenches with Woods and Hudson. There's not too much special about this section, it's just a lot of shooting and blowing up Vietnamese people. If I'm not wrong, nothing significant really happens in the story either, apart from building your bonds with Woods and Hudson. That's not to say it isn't fun, it certainly is, but it's definitely light on the story. The mission ends with Hudson flying in on a chopper to the same song we started the mission with. As Hudson introduces himself to Bowman, he also gives him the cold shoulder like Woods did, which is brutal. 5 out of 10. So that mission, whilst light on story, does at least set up the next one nicely. We're going into the hot zone to meet a Russian defector that supposedly had intel on Dragovich. The interrogator is certain that the contact we were planning on meeting was dead, as Hue City was basically burned to the ground already. But Mason has this extra urge to go in anyway. Why was it so important to him? Revenge? Or maybe something more? I don't know why I'm protecting spoilers so much in this game that's 15 years old, but I just know someone in the comments will be like, spoilers, if I reveal anything too early. The mission opens as our chopper gets shot down, but we survive. Trademark COD. The environment we enter into is engulfed in fire and consumed by battle. It has this hellish, surreal feel to it, which I think fits perfectly with the meta-narrative that's going on right now. As we know, Mason is struggling a bit with his grip on reality. We fight through the building, getting warned that we need to extract ASAP as the battle is well and truly lost. The NVA has overwhelmed the city. When we reach the safe room, we see this.
Mace. Reznov. How'd you get out of Vorkuta?
This is a press X to doubt moment. There's no way he's out of Vorkuta, and if he is, then why the hell is he in Vietnam, as a defector of all things? So the Russians just forgave him, let him out of Vorkuta, and trusted him with this highly sensitive information for him to defect with? Nah, this never made sense to me on my first playthrough. Alarm bells were already ring-a-ding-dinging. Reznov hands us a dossier saying that Dragovich planned an attack on American soil. He then says,
Dragovich, Kreshenko, Stein, all must die.
When we escape with Reznov, we meet up with Woods and Bowman to introduce our pals to each other.
Are these your men? Woods, Bowman. I am Reznov.
What took you so long, Mason? That intel better be worth it.
This is actually really clever on a couple of levels. Those of you who know what's going on here, basically everyone, but let's assume we don't, you might have picked up on the fact that Woods and Bowman completely ignored Reznov. No hello, not even a look. Why? That's another thing that just makes this game feel off on the first playthrough. But if you really wanted an excuse, obviously knowing things in hindsight, you'd refer back to the last level. Both Woods and Bowman ignored Hudson too. So this actually provides a logical consistency here to put your mind back at ease. Maybe these guys are just rude, or completely focused on the mission. It's really clever, and I just wanted to shout that out for people that know the twist and for people that don't. Anyway, it's LZ time. We use close air support to help us utterly obliterate the MVA and whatever's left of the burning Hue City. Black Ops does so well to capture the destruction of the Vietnam War, a time when war wasn't fought by politicians and drones. Having been to Vietnam and Hue City myself, it actually frustrates me to see what war can do to a place. Vietnam is one of the most peaceful and nicest places I've ever been, and it's probably one of my favourite places in the world. USA, when they came in the 60s, didn't catch that same vibe, obviously, and just fucked it up instead. Anyway, we extract on a boat, the scene closes, but we can still hear the numbers. 5 out of 10. So, just to recap, that dossier contained information on Dragovich, Kravchenko, Dwarf Sakayev, Steiner, and Clark. The first three essentially form our overarching goal of the game. As Reznov said earlier, all of them must die. There was one extra name though, Clark. He was the mastermind behind a project called Nova 6. Nova 6 was essentially a chemical weapon that was being developed by this group, and we can deduce that this is what will be the weapon that will be used to attack the US that was noted earlier. In the briefing for the next mission, Mason asks why they're asking so many questions about all of this, as they already seem to know all of the answers. The interrogator responds by saying that they need to know about the numbers, where the numbers are being broadcasted from. This explains why Mason is in captivity in the first place. They're interrogating him, knowing that he's brainwashed, hearing numbers, to essentially investigate all of his memories leading up to this point to see if they can find clues to answer the question. But why does it matter if numbers are being broadcast? And why does it matter where from? Surely it's harmless. Well, unless you're a Cold War or MK Ultra expert, you don't know at this stage. So we'll save the explanation for later. Now, the next mission we get to play as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ice Cube Axe Body Spray CIA agent Jason Hudson. The mission takes place in Kowloon City, Hong Kong, a place that, as of 1994, doesn't exist anymore. Playing as Jason Hudson, we are interrogating this Clark dude mentioned earlier. In the opening scene, we get an insight into some light CIA field torture methods being employed by Hudson and Weaver on Clark. I absolutely love this mission. It's everything Black Ops stands for. We have undercover agents operating across borders, rain-soaked cities, conspiracies, and of course, Russians. Our interrogation is cut well short as said Russians come to tie up loose ends. Clark, as noted earlier, is the brains behind this Nova 6 chemical weapon. so assumably now they have that weapon, they can just kill this dude and our lovely CIA agents too. The objective is to get him out alive so we can extract more information out of him. We shoot some of the barrels of Nova 6 as they approach, and this really scrunts them up, giving us a first-hand look at what it actually does. Clark's saying we're lucky not to have inhaled it as it was clearly very fatal. As we're escaping here, I want to talk to you about Kowloon City and why this might be one of my favourite mission environments in the game. Kowloon Walled City was chaos. It's located just north of Hong Kong Island. At its peak, Kowloon had a population density of over 1.9 million people in 18 square kilometers. That's over 100,000 people per square mile. To put that into perspective, that's nearly 4 times denser than New York City's Manhattan, denser than Tokyo, Mumbai, and Dhaka, cities already famous for being packed. You could fit the entire population of San Francisco into Kowloon with room left over. Kowloon Walled City was infamous for being a lawless, self-governed, vertical slum made up of over 300 interconnected buildings. It was so densely built that most of it was permanently in shadow, sunlight struggled to reach the lower floors, and residents could go days without stepping outside. They just climbed building to building, roof to roof. And on top of this, you had regular planes flying into Kai Tak Airport, as you'll see in the game, flying right over Kowloon City, shuddering the foundations as it does. The walled city was finally demolished in 1994, but it left behind a legacy of urban claustrophobia, neon, and mystery. Basically, the perfect FPS map setting in my opinion, and it's realised in incredible detail in this mission, with Black Ops adding its trademark cinematic quality throughout. We continue fighting off the Russians in what seems like a never-ending jungle of concrete and sheet rooftops. As we're jumping away from the building, Clark loses his footing in the rain. We catch him just in time for him to tell us this.
What about the numbers, Clark? Oh, yeah. That's usual. They're the keys. Yeah, I got visual.
To tell us nothing, but he did essentially tell us that the numbers are the key to something, another breadcrumb to further the mystery. Clark as a character has done really well too. His face tattoos and clear maniac contingency plans, I'm referring to the multiple armories he has stashed around Kowloon, on top of the chemical weapons thing, are perfect for this game and its vibe. What's a Cold War story without a mad scientist? We also fall down to the ground and are eventually saved just in time before we're overrun by Russians. Hudson closes by saying that next they need to go and find Steiner, the German named by Clark at the beginning of the level. 10 out of 10 baby, that was epic. The next mission briefing starts with Reznov telling Mason a story. This story is basically him telling Mason about his life in Stalingrad, another callback to World at War. He also talks about his father and how he ended up being betrayed by Dragovich, Kravchenko and Steiner, and we'll see here exactly why they have to die. What follows is a flashback within a flashback, very Black Ops. We're going all the way back to 1945, playing as Reznov, and we see a familiar name.
Yes, Dmitri. Time to hunt down the last remnants of the fascist Reich.
That's us, was us in Cold World at War. Dmitri, the hero of Stalingrad. I really love this callback, and it's not even like it's fan service, as you'll see in a minute. This mission follows Dmitri and Reznov as they embark on a mission to hunt down whatever's left of the N-words they toppled in World at War, and this takes them to the Arctic Circle. The mission is narrated by Reznov as we go, and we encounter a friendly Kravchenko and Dragovich, showing that they were actually all quite friendly comrades at one time. The conversations they have initially show great respect between the parties, but Reznov harbours resentment for these two. He recounts that Dragovich and Kravchenko didn't provide reinforcements for him once they were overrun in Stalingrad, even though they promised to, but they essentially left him for dead. And he tells Dmitri at this point that they are not to be trusted. Reznov also recounts to Mason how brave Dmitri specifically was, and what they did together in World at War. And it's right about now that you start to get the feeling that something bad is about to happen to our dear Dmitri. The mission that follows is really good, as we get to access all of the old weapons that we used in World at War, and we get to relive that beautiful feeling of crushing a retreating, weakened N-word force. The gameplay and setting is just top tier again, showing Black Ops' unique ability to tell its tight and coherent story across a variety of locations and times. And I really like how they didn't hold back. What's more fantasy than storming a secret German base in the Arctic Circle? Once again, there are opportunities to spare surrendering N-words, but role-playing as Reznov, I take great joy in killing them. The guns are feeling so good in this mission. We get to use old weapons such as the Mosin Nagant, the STG-44, the MP40, and it's a really nice feature mission of the campaign. Now, I haven't talked too much about the difficulty or the gameplay so far, because Black Ops doesn't really mess with that well-known COD formula too much. I'd say in between stories and set pieces, it actually grants you longer periods to just get lost in the fun and the fighting. It kind of trusts that you're enjoying what you're doing more than games previously. But it wouldn't be a bad playthrough if I didn't showcase the AI's ability to act dumb as hell and lose their lives. He died for the motherland. Okay, maybe that was more of a conscious team kill than you've seen in previous videos, but we move. We finally reach Steiner, and he's sat chilling, smoking a stoogie by the fire. He tells us to not point our weapon at him and calls us a Russian dog. Reznov manages to avoid blowing this guy's brains out somehow, and this was a mistake. He knew this at the time though, saying that he could see the fascist Reich still burning strong in his eyes, but he resisted every instinct because he was a soldier and still believed in orders. Even Dmitri sensed something was off as we approached Dragovich and Steiner talking like old friends. Kravchenko is literally just popping numerous skulls to the right of us as we approach. This is more good character building, as he's well portrayed as the muscle of these three antagonists, and he's showing it here.
No.
Anyway, Dragovich orders us through the ship. There is something very important in here apparently. Vodka? No. As we'll find out, it's Nova 6. The three men now betray us. They couldn't wait to test it out. And who better than Reznov and Dmitri, who they didn't trust anyway. They're thrown in the containers by their comrades under orders of Dragovich. Watch this.
Dmitri Petrenko was a hero. He deserved the hero's death. Instead of giving his life for the glory of the motherland, he died for nothing. Like an animal. He shot up died in Berlin. As I watched my closest friend die, it became clear we were not the only ones seeking the German weapons.
Imagine being Viktor Reznov here, a war hero, a survivor of Stalingrad, and someone who's seen more death than most people can comprehend. But this one is deep. Dmitri Petrenko wasn't just a soldier, he was Reznov's brother-in-arms. They fought through hell together in World at War. They were legends. And then Reznov watches him die. Not in glory, not in battle like he was supposed to die, but as a test subject in Dragovich's sick little science project. And here's the worst part, he couldn't stop it. For a man like Reznov, who's all about honor, loyalty, and revenge, watching Dmitri die like that, it wouldn't just break him, it would forge him into something much colder and more calculated. And that's the moment he stopped fighting for a cause and started fighting for revenge. Before the Nova 6 can kill Reznov though, the British storm the ship, and our antagonists flee to leave us to navigate our way through the middle of a firefight between our old comrades and the British. We escape the ship and destroy it in the process, running into the Arctic Void. Reznov thought this would be the end, but 20 years later, Dragovich is once again hatching a plan to use Nova 6. And that brings us back to our objective as Mason, kill the three Russian musketeers. Now that the endgame is fully revealed to be Nova 6, it's time to stop it. In the next mission in Vietnam, we get our opportunity to take out the first target, Kravchenko. We're shot down in a chopper heading north, and all of us survive. What a surprise. Reznov is the one that actually frees us from the chopper underwater, all the while the numbers continue to play in Mason's head. In this mission, we have to fight through the jungle against the Viet Cong, alongside Woods and Reznov, kinda. What follows is a sneaky deaky section with Woods. We get to see some nice cinematic stealth kills, and use the water like a little fish to sneak up on the Viet Cong.
A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts.
In the quiet moments, we hear Reznov's voice in our head, forgetting that he left earlier to provide Overwatch, and it becomes hard to tell if he's right next to us or not at times. We link up with Bowman and some other NPCs who will likely die shortly. We go loud on the village, and the Viet Cong put up a great fight against our military might, similar to how they were known to in real life. Then we drop in a rat hole that the Viet Cong were famous for making in this war. As we're climbing down, we can hear the numbers start to play again, and this turns into a tense and scary segment. We have another dude ahead of us here called Taylor Swift or some shit, I don't know, as this happens.
Reznov, you nearly took a bullet.
Reznov just appears out of nowhere, and Taylor Swift doesn't even clock that he's there. I, however, did clock him with a bullet, which also confuses me, because you can't aim and fire at any other friendly character in the game. Oh, and just try to avoid this texture error. I don't know why everyone down here looks like a locked character in a fighting game right now. Maybe I have to get the battle pass to see them properly. Taylor Swift then asks, what the fuck is wrong with us? Which I found to be a little uncalled for, to be honest. I didn't do anything. Anyway, I get the creeps from some large cockroaches before we move on. These cockroaches are stronger than Taylor Swift over there. Now we're on our own with Reznov. We're creeping slowly around each corner, ready for an attack from any angle. It's a great intense segment with the Python revolver, and it ends up with us finding Kravchenko's bunker. What we learn from this visit is that Kravchenko has been testing Nova 6 on people in Vietnam. He goes into gruesome and scientific detail on the effect that it has on people. It really shows how he has no remorse to the lives that are ended through these tests. We have to get out of here quickly as Kravchenko has the place wired to blow. We dig our way out of the rubble onto the edge of a cliff and straight into a fight with the Viet Cong. Wood picks us up in a chopper, but we never see Reznov jump over. I guess that just happened off screen. In the next scene, we're directly told that Reznov cannot be trusted by the interrogator. We're told that he's not who we think he is. At this point, as we start maniacally reciting the words he said to us in Vorkuta, the interrogator loses his marbles.
Forget Reznov! Focus, Mason! We're out of fucking time! The world is on the fucking brink of war!
Whose war? Who the fuck are you anyway?
Mason is deteriorating. Time is running out and we still have no answers.
Broadcast, Mason. The numbers are a broadcast. You've been brainwashed.
We rejoin Mason in a mission with SOG to recon a Soviet plane that was shot down carrying Nova 6 over Laos. Okay, forget the conspiracy for a minute and forget the story. The next segment is us just going sexy hard on a boat to the sound of Sympathy for the Devil, another iconic Nam tune by the Rolling Stones. We're destroying this beautiful and wonderful landscape one hut at a time. Woods and Bowman have missile launchers which we control. Reznov weirdly is just sat next to us doing nothing. Why isn't he firing? Also, why do we have some random Marine in the front seat? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Reznov there? Everyone got assigned a role by Woods when we got on, apart from him. Anyway, after this, Mr. Nobody at the front gets blasted, to which Bowman shouts for a medic, which I found quite silly to be honest. We're alone in the middle of a river surrounded by Viet Cong. Ain't nobody coming to help. Woods gets up and pulls the body of the Marine out of the gun. And we get this weird interlude of Mason reflecting on it, and Woods' reaction.
I swear to God that Woods was crying. But he never let us see no tears.
I'll be honest, I think this is some late stage attempt from the game to characterize Woods a bit more. I think maybe they realized, holy balls, we've gone so deep into this conspiracy storyline that we've forgotten about this incredibly cool character we created here. We need to add some scenes that make him a deeper person, more real. I feel like they really neglected him a bit up until this point. I think this because it seems like a really weird place to have a dedicated reflection from Mason, whipping you out of the moment and back into the interrogation room to show it. I don't want to say it's contrived, but there are surely plenty of moments that deserve a scene like this where it wasn't used. While some people love this scene, I'm pretty indifferent to it, especially because when we rejoin the memory just after, the body is gone, so I guess maybe they gave the Marine a quick sea burial. So thoughtful, so deep. Up ahead we come across a downed helicopter, but there's no Viet Cong around it. Only some cows here on the ridge where our objective marker is pointing. So I assume that these cows shot down the helicopter and I get my revenge. Sorry, Peter. Listen to this also.
The plane must be close, Mason. Kravchenko is near.
Is it me, or does his voice sound like he's saying it directly in our ears, like he's so close to us in a small room? Not how the other voices sound on the boat.
Never happened here. We just missed it.
We disembark the boat, anticipating to meet Kravchenko as we get nearer to the objective of the downed chopper. We start out by fighting the Viet Cong, but then encounter Spetsnaz. Well, if there was any doubt the Soviets are in Nam, there ain't now. We investigate the crash site. We see that Nova 6 was on board, but no one else was there. We also see a map of the area that shows Kravchenko's compound. The numbers start to play, and we say,
Kravchenko, he must die.
What I love about this is there is something weird about Woods and Bowman's reaction to you saying this. Kinda like you have that one friend who acts a bit weird sometimes, doing some weird shit at the function, so you just blast him this strange look and ignore him. The Soviets start attacking again, and the chopper slips off the cliff face with us in it. We take a little tumble, and we're captured once again after a little catch-up with Dragovich and Kravchenko. We're told by the interrogator in the next scene that the SOG team were all assumed dead, so they say Hudson had to continue the mission without us. As we found out in the previous mission in Kowloon, this led Hudson to Mount Yamantau. Mason at this point is starting to realize that the numbers are real with the help of this interrogator.
What?
Oh my God, the numbers are real.
They've always been real, Mason.
Things are heating up. The game has been feeding us more and more at a gradual but consistent pace, and it's perfectly poised to enter its final third. For the next mission, we follow Hudson again, and this actually goes down as my favourite mission in the game. The mission opens with us taking a flight as a different character called Mosley, who flies an SR-71 Blackbird up into the stratosphere. We then switch to his boyfriend, Major Niche, as we take control of air support for Hudson and Weaver below. We have to coordinate the team's movements and choose when to hide, fight, and where to go. The lore explanation for this is that the snowstorm where they are is so thick that they cannot see where they are going on the ground. So I like the way that it's implemented. It's a necessity that they also gain the advantage on the enemy for having. It all ties up with the gameplay really well. For the action sequences, it switches to Hudson's POV on the ground too. I think this is a massive improvement on previous iterations of the series, and we saw it in MW3 too. It allows you to have that AC-130 mission, but always keep the action in the hands of the player to avoid any dull moments. This section only forms the start of this mission too. We soon join Hudson on the ground permanently, which is great and is the best implementation of this I've seen in the series. We get access to use the more fun weapons from here on out. We get the AUG and the FAMAS, which I just fucking clear up with. It's so much fun revisiting these iconic weapons that I spent so long with on multiplayer. It really is such a good time coming back and playing this in 2025, and I would recommend it to everyone. I think Black Ops 1 was the first game in the series, when it came to multiplayer, that allowed you to upload clips direct to your YouTube from your PS3. Like it had a studio or something, if I remember right. I tried to find my channel that I uploaded some tough clips to back in the day, straight off the rip from the PS3. And actually, I somehow managed to find it in the sea of trash that now pollutes the YouTube search engine. Check out this sniper clip I uploaded. 360p 14 years ago is insane. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, best mission in the game. We rappel down with total ease into the base where we suspect they are developing Nova 6. I'm fine. We get this sick cinematic breaking through a window scene which took me right back to playing Rainbow Six Vegas. Anyone ever play that game? That was like my first love when it came to online multiplayer games. Seriously, I was addicted to that shit. Let me know if you played it down in the comments. What follows is some gameplay quite reminiscent of the SAS missions in COD 4 and MW2. Sneaking, taking out targets as required, planned infiltration, all that business. And it's another great section of gameplay, but for very different reasons to missions previous. We shut down the relay dish to stop any outbound comms from the base, and we do it in a way that I imagine is nowhere near OSHA compliant. As we move outside, some asshole with an RPG causes an avalanche, which means we have to do this. Epic as fuck. We land in the base and start slapping ass cheeks. The place is rigged to blow. As we enter the command room, the door gets locked behind us, and Steiner directly addresses us, saying that Dragovich is destroying all the evidence of Nova 6 before it happens. This would be a perfect Cold War cover-up now, wouldn't it? If not for us meddling kids. He also says that he plans to release Nova 6 on targets all across America, which is visible on this map here. And how is he going to do it? Through sleeper agents. I mean, I think we all know that by now, but just play along. Steiner is afraid Dragovich is going to kill him too for his involvement, so he offers an olive branch of sorts to Hudson and Weaver, revealing his location at Rebirth Island for them to come and get him. And I think he hopes maybe the CIA will save him like the Russians did back in the Arctic Circle earlier in the game. So Hudson and Weaver escape, avoiding being destroyed along with the evidence contained in this base. The next cutscene finally starts to pull the pieces together. Listen to this.
Dragovich is fully weaponized and deployed Nova 6. He has sleeper cell agents all over the U.S. just waiting for the signal to release.
Invaded.
The U.S. was invaded decades ago, Mason. The communists have been waiting. Now they're ready to strike.
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
You know about the sleeper cells.
I'm trying to help you.
Dragovich uses number sequences to communicate with the sleeper cells. Those numbers are broadcast from one location, Mason.
Why the hell do you think that I know where it is?
You're in Vorkuta, Mason. We know what happens at Vorkuta. They programmed you. You can translate the codes.
But Reznov was never...
Stop! Mason, we are on the brink of war. Where is the broadcast station? Where is the broadcast station?
Dragovich had us like rats in cages.
Mason!
What this is a culmination of a number of subplots coming together, and the way the game presents this to you is just fantastic. It's the first time we've really got some actual answers in the whole game, and it's right near the end. This is great writing, as at no point was I not okay with not having the answers. They drip feed you just enough, more and more information, clues, and details without giving too much away. And when things are given away, it feels like it's timed really well, and nothing is over-revealed. I just made up that word, sue me, to the player. Being a POW of the Viet Cong might be in the top 5 things you want to avoid on any given Tuesday. Once again, Mason finds himself imprisoned by the enemy, but at least he's got his friends with him this time. As we're pulled out of our little water rat cage, Mason said he could hear Bowman up ahead sobbing, that he'd given up, and then we're sat down opposite him on a table with a revolver placed in the middle. I'm sure you can understand what's about to happen here. The Viet Cong, with special guest stereotypical Russian guy, had him playing Russian roulette. I imagine the look on Bowman's face here suggests that he won the last round. Won in quotation marks. Now it was our turn to do the dance with Bowman. Bowman's got that look in his eye, a 1,000-yard stare. He's already dead. He calls Baldy over here a communist piece of shit and gets the penis beaten out of him. Next, they bring in Woods. Mason and Woods stare at each other intently, clearly trying to telepathically figure a way out of this situation. I also love this moment as it perfectly portrays Woods' half-psycho character. He screams, "You can't kill me" at the Viet Cong guard, when he's clearly in a situation where beyond all reasonable doubt, he's probably gonna die. This is the kind of shit you say when you're in creative mode in Minecraft. Anyway, Woods ends up being right, somehow. The tension rises to a crescendo, and he screams heck as he pulls the trigger against his own head. Our turn next. But we have a plan. We say to Woods, 6 and 8, and then this happens. We go ham sandwich on the rest of the Viet Cong in this little hole as we chase down the bald Russian man. We don't want to let him get away as he'll go crying to Kravchenko. When we catch up to him, I only give him a little warning shot in the leg, but somehow he dies from this 2-inch fall and a shot to the thigh. After this, we steal a hind, destroy the come out of Vietnam's beautiful landscape and native people once again, and semi-crash the thing, and move on as if nothing happened. Hoorah! Where we land is basically outside of Kravchenko's compound. Bro must be literally deaf if he didn't hear us coming. We storm the compound, just us and Woods. We hear the voices of some American POWs and one from, you guessed it, Reznov. He has a funny knack of turning up in the right place at the right time, doesn't he? Why can I hear the numbers again? Woods is seemingly confused at this. We hear him say, "What the fuck are you doing?" And we have to get these guys out. Despite that, the POWs follow us in to finish Kravchenko off. We bust his door down and just walk in looking straight forward like a flippin' NPC. I mean, what the hell is this? You've come so far. In Kennedy's own words, "You're the best that we have, and this is how you breach a room."
Hello?
Deservedly so, Kravchenko clarts us on the side of the head with a chair, which flashbangs us for some reason. He gets into a fistfight then with Woods, and makes him look like a pussy before curb stomping us. Woods comes up and shanks him, but Kravchenko goes all kamikaze and does this.
What?
But then, Mason has a strange hallucination as we hear the numbers again.
I got you, Mason.
What?
You're okay. Are you okay? Mason.
Reznov.
Kravchenko is dead. Dragovich, Kravchenko, Stein, all must die.
For God's sake, where is the number station?
All must die.
Have you guys ever seen Apocalypse Now? It's basically a film set in the Vietnam War, and Mason's character has been quite obviously having a mental breakdown since the very first minute of this game. And I think something that's often overlooked as an inspiration for his character is that film, and others like Full Metal Jacket. A big part of the Cold War was psychological, and another big defining theme of the Vietnam War was the psychological impact it left on the soldiers. This war, era, and the media that arose from it all seemed to capture that otherworldly, spiritual fear that seemed to be tied to the physical violence that took place. Black Ops 1 having a brainwashed protagonist that hallucinates and is most likely a sleeper cell for the Russians shows a fantastic understanding of the themes of the era and wars that they cover in this game. Mason is a perfect contribution to modern media depictions of a Cold War protagonist. Okay, in the next briefing, Mason and the interrogator argue about the facts. Mason believes him and Reznov survived this mission, whilst the interrogator believes it was him and only him. He tells Mason that he went rogue after this. The next logical location was Rebirth Island, where Steiner was. The CIA were on their way to capture him alive, to learn more about Nova 6 and Dragovich, but it's revealed here that we also went separately, against orders. Mason is also revealed in this cutscene to have killed Steiner, and when asked why, he says the numbers were telling him to. This is the first time the game explicitly tells us the function of the numbers. We've heard them throughout some of the missions and key moments of the game, but why would the numbers be telling us to kill Kravchenko, Dragovich, and Steiner, if they were the ones to, assumably being the bad guys, brainwash us with them? This doesn't make total sense at this stage in the game, and it's another example of the amount of different directions the story can still go in, whilst we have quite a lot of the facts with us. It's great writing. The interrogator summarizes the urgency of establishing the truth behind the numbers, and learning the location of where they are being broadcast from. America has a preemptive strike on Russia prepared. Nova 6 is weaponized and ready to be released on US soil by these sleeper agents, of which we are just one of many. If we can't figure this out, if we can't remember the location of the broadcast station, America is toast. This time, Mason takes us back to Rebirth Island. Shut up, I don't want to talk about Warzone. It opens with us, and Reznov in a little box, looking out through the cracks as we're delivered to the port. Here, we will kill Steiner, with a light interest in the Nova 6 delivery. You think this would be the primary objective, but our literal objective only focuses on the confrontation of Dr. Steiner. Is Reznov's goal more important than saving the world, we ask? We execute the guard and sneak through the facility, avoiding the helicopter's searchlights and guards as we go. We use a hatchet to take out the first few guards, like some American Psycho. The music has dramatic stings to actually make it feel like a slasher movie or something, and I think it's done quite subtly, but unconsciously plays into the portrayal of the deteriorating psyche of Alex Mason. He's a rogue murderer now more than he is a soldier. As we reach the roof, we hear alarm bells raised, but not for us. We seem to be working independently of the CIA, and it's clear that we're now in a race to get to Steiner before them. They want him alive, and we want him dead. We fight through the labs to Steiner, and as we arrive, we see this epic cutscene.
Dragovich's men are rounding up everyone on the island. Those no longer essential to his plans are being executed. You must hurry before they kill me too!
Friedrich Steiner. This is the end.
I know you. Vorkuta. You don't know what we did to you.
Mason, talk to me.
Your evil has claimed the lives of many good men. No longer.
Killing me will not stop Nova. I do not care about Nova. My name is Victor Reznov. And I will have my revenge.
What is going on here? Well, next we play through the CIA's perspective of this moment. Hudson and Weaver led the CIA's assault on Rebirth, fighting through the majority of the forces head-on. We even get to play a section where Nova 6 is released outside the facility. They then reach the inside of the labs and follow in the path of Reznov and Mason. From Mason's perspective earlier, we see two guys in hazmats trying to stop them. These were not Russians, they were actually Hudson and Weaver. As they approach, they try communicating with Mason to stop, to no avail. When they reach Steiner, they see this.
My revenge! Mason, no!
I'm fine. Check Steiner.
He's dead. What about Reznov, the defector? We need to find him.
We won't. He was never here.
Well, well, well. There it is, the big reveal. Reznov was never there. But if he was never there, since when? And how much of this was a lie? So let's recap on what we actually know so far. After the Bay of Pigs, Mason was captured and handed over to Soviet command and locked up in Vorkuta, a Soviet gulag straight out of hell. It's there where he meets Viktor Reznov, war hero, revolutionary, and the angriest imaginary friend we're ever gonna have. Together, they lead a prison uprising, and Mason escapes, and Reznov, he doesn't. Back in the States, Mason's debriefing doesn't go well, mostly because he's having psychotic episodes, yelling about numbers, and he's clearly not okay. The CIA, led by Hudson and Weaver, isn't sure whether Mason's a hero or a Soviet sleeper agent, so naturally they do the healthy thing and introduce him to the president, and then send him right back into the field. From there, Mason jumps around the Cold War's greatest hits: Vietnam, Hong Kong, Rebirth Island, tracking down the key figures behind a bioweapon called Nova 6, Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. All while Reznov pops in every now and then like a Slavic Obi-Wan, shouting about vengeance and whispering sweet nothings into Mason's ear. But the cracks are getting harder to ignore. Mason's memory doesn't add up. People never actually react to Reznov being there. You can even friendly fire on him, unlike other characters. And sometimes it even feels like his voice is coming from inside your head. The numbers keep getting louder, and despite all the missions and intel, Mason is still obsessed with killing Steiner, Kravchenko, and Dragovich, like it's hardwired into his brain as a result of the number sequence. He's quite clearly a sleeper agent, and the numbers are his activation. But did the US do this? Why would they need to? Eventually, Mason reaches Rebirth Island, and him and the CIA separately are closing in on Steiner. Mason gets there first and kills him. Except that wasn't the plan for Hudson and Weaver. They were supposed to capture Steiner, and when they got there, they found Mason, covered in blood and wearing Reznov's outfit. Steiner dead. Reznov isn't there, because Reznov was never there. And just like that, it brings us to the start of the game, in the interrogation room that we've been experiencing the story from the first moment we booted up the game at the main menu. The chronology is now explained. Next, we experience a monologue by Reznov, discussing what's left to believe in after you're betrayed by your own people. The only thing left for him is vengeance, and he repeats, the 3 men must die. Back in the interrogation room, it's revealed that we actually know how to translate the number codes. It's all in our scrambled as fuck head, so it's just a matter of them unscrambling it and saving the world. But given that we're already at DEFCON 2, they're so close to giving up and heading to the bunker for the end of the world. But they have one more card left to play. Hudson enters the room and tells Weaver to tell everyone that he failed. It was Hudson and Weaver interrogating us the whole time. He tells us he knows we're not a traitor. This was evident to him likely as a result of his loyalty shown to Hudson at Khe-Sanh when he didn't leave him behind, and to his personal sacrifice for Woods and Bowman during the Bay of Pigs. It's a massive show of faith from Hudson, who is ultimately right, as we know Mason is brainwashed to shit. To say thank you, Mason kindly punches the fuck out of Hudson, and he tries to make his merry little way out of the facility. Quickly, you realise that this isn't an escape, and you're not breaking out. You're walking through your own brainwashing, a hallucinated version of the interrogation facility, melting into fragments of memory and psychosis. We even see the moment in Vorkuta, where our 3 evil musketeers are standing over our body and discussing the brainwashing of us, how it was not as easy as the other subjects due to our mental resilience. Fun fact, pausing the mission at this stage reveals your mission objective. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a number sequence, and in fact, there were a couple more in previous missions that I missed to record in this playthrough. But using the Call of Duty wiki, breaking my own rules for a second, it's revealed that one of the previous mission's objectives had a number sequence in it that was decoded to mean prepare to down target, Kennedy, John Fitzgerald. Priority supersedes all previous instructions. And another, resume directive programming, respond. This is insane to me. Just when it feels like you're kind of getting a grasp of the narrative, what's happening and why, right at the end of the game, Black Ops 1 drops this covert bombshell. Were we being trained as a sleeper cell to assassinate Kennedy? Obviously nobody on their first playthrough is going to catch this, no way. So we'll come back to it later, but the fact that it's here, now, and no player knows it really, is great. The one on screen now, really interestingly, is yet to be decoded. If you're watching this and know what this means, let me know in the comments. I love moments in games that are, say, 15 years old that still carry mystery, and in a game the size of COD, I think it's super interesting that there are still answers we don't have. Mason continues, seemingly verbally repeating orders from the decoded messages on the objective screen. He even says, and this is referring to Lee Harvey Oswald, the IRL supposed assassin of Kennedy. Blimey, players are probably feeling in a similar mental state to Mason at this point. We enter into a room, our hallucinations are getting worse, pictures are moving all over the walls and stuff, there are voices in our head. Then next, the whole ass roof comes off to reveal the Russian rockets we dismantled earlier in the game. We have officially detached from reality. This walk isn't an escape, it's a revelation. And the only thing that can save us now is to get punched very hard by the pursuing Hudson. He stands over us, gun pointed. He finally confirms what has been happening all along. Mason was subjected to a brutal psychological conditioning, trying to turn him into a sleeper agent, one who'll obey orders triggered by a string of numbers and assassinate targets on command. But here's the twist. Reznov saw exactly what Dragovich was doing. Now keep in mind, this is the same Reznov who watched his best friend, Dmitry Petrenko, get murdered by Steiner. The same Reznov who's been boiling with rage ever since Stalingrad. He thinks he won't make it out of Vorkuta alive, but Mason might, and that gives him an opportunity. So Reznov does the most Cold War thing imaginable. He rewires his brainwashing. Right under the noses of the Soviets, he subtly reprograms Mason's conditioning. How he does that isn't clear, but we've obviously had that cutscene where he's talking directly to us about what happened in Stalingrad and what Kravchenko, Steiner and Dragovich did to him earlier. Anyway, he alters the targets Dragovich had installed in his head. Instead of blindly following Soviet orders, Mason's subconscious gets one mission burned into it: avenge Reznov, kill Dragovich, kill Kravchenko, and kill Steiner. And Mason, he lives it and he becomes it. He becomes Reznov. Reznov was never at the MACV compound. He was never in the rat tunnels. He was never at Rebirth Island. Reznov didn't even escape Vorkuta, but his vengeance did. And that vengeance took the form of Alex Mason, carrying out his will without even knowing it. Hudson then confirms that this brainwashing was the Russians' attempt at MK-Ultra, a huge Cold War conspiracy turned truth in recent years. He gives it one last try. Now that we know about the brainwashing, maybe we can finally decode it. And that we do. The Rusalka, Cuba. Yes, the boat in the background when we're captured by Dragovich and Castro at the beginning of the game when you're being handed over to him. The numbers are being broadcasted from there, and now the mission is clear. With relative moments left in the history of the US, we have to go in to destroy it. Black Ops 1 now gets released from the shackles of its secrets. The brainwashing is over, kinda. Us, Weaver, and Hudson team up to save the day. Our last mission begins. In the Gulf of Mexico, we come in heavy, flying in on a chopper and lighting up the Rusalka's deck like it owes us money. Explosions, gunfire, chaos, but this isn't just a ship, it's a front. As we make our way below deck, it becomes clear that the real broadcast station isn't here, it's beneath us, deep on the ocean floor. That's where Dragovich is hiding, and that's where the numbers are coming from. The voices, the trigger, the reason for everything is down there. Now everyone's aligned. We all want to kill Dragovich, and we all want to stop the broadcast and end this. We storm the underwater facility, and somewhere inside it is the control room with Dragovich. And when we get there, we see that the numbers have already started broadcasting. Boom. A blast rips through the structure. We're thrown from the gangway, hanging on for dear life. Barely conscious, and here comes Dragovich ready to kill us. Hudson tries to intervene, but Dragovich moves first. We lunge at him and grab him, dragging him down to the waterlogged level below. Mason is desperately and primally trying to kill Dragovich, and you can feel the emotion coming out of him as he does this. As we finally get the upper hand, choking the life out of him, Mason says, "You tried to make me kill my own president." And Dragovich, defiant to the end, replies, "Right." Us and Hudson swim up from the depths of the ocean bed, as Reznov's voice rings out congratulating us on our victory. And just as we're about to drown, we make it.
Mason! It is over. We won.
For now.
Epic end to the game. Or is it? A final cutscene shows a smoking woman still reading the numbers. Hudson did say he doesn't think this is the only operation by Dragovich, and as this is being done, we start to see images of Kennedy. Oh no. Remember when Dragovich said, at the end? Mason is also robotically repeating numbers and figures over the footage. By now, I think you know what's being implied, but the game doesn't stop there. Do you recognize this man? That is Mason, standing next to Kennedy, using IRL images of the day that he was killed. And that's the game. What a wild, wild, wild thing to finish with. Black Ops 1 was a ride, not just through the hotspots and explosive set pieces, but introducing paranoia, brainwashing, and the Cold War into the COD series, I genuinely loved how deep the game went into conspiracies and tying it into real-world history. It didn't just borrow these things from that era, it really put it together in a way that I felt like I was living it. The numbers, the concept of sleeper agents, the fear of not knowing who to trust and who's real. It all hit the right notes. What makes it really stand out though is how well it wears its inspirations. From Cold War thrillers to classic spy fiction, movies like Apocalypse Now and games like MGS3. It takes all of that and fuses it with Call of Duty's punchy action to deliver something sharper, darker, and way more personal than anything the series has done up to this point. And once you've finished it, that's when it gets really good. Because you can replay this campaign after knowing the twist, that Reznov was never really there, and that Mason was being controlled the whole time, and it completely changes the way you see everything. You start to notice more details in conversations, the silence from other characters when Reznov speaks, the obsessive focus on Steiner, Kravchenko, and Dragovich, even when it doesn't seem like it's the most important thing that they should be doing. Also, the subtle glitches in Mason's behavior. All of it was right in front of you the entire time, and suddenly it hits even harder when you know why it's there. And look, if you really zoom out, the entire game is essentially a twisted, covert explanation for the assassination of John F. Kennedy. That's a huge thing for Black Ops 1 to do. All the brainwashing, numbers, hallucination, it all builds towards this chilling implication that Mason was programmed to kill the president, and he actually did it. Although the game doesn't outright confirm it, but it doesn't need to. That final moment, that cut to Kennedy with Mason just standing in the background, it says everything. It's one of the boldest narrative moves in the franchise, and the fact that the entire campaign quietly builds to that idea, hidden beneath layers of conspiracy and paranoia, I think it's genius. It's one of those stories that rewards you for paying attention, but also for coming back, which, let's be honest, isn't something most COD campaigns can say. This didn't try to follow Modern Warfare. It broke away from it and told a story with more layers, more psychological weight, and way more risk, and it paid off. It's easily my favourite campaign in the series so far, but for completely different reasons than the Modern Warfare trilogy. They're both brilliant, just in totally opposite ways. Anyway, that's the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button because it would make my whole damn day. I love you guys. Bag out.
You was never here.